Hello, everybody. I'm Eshan Pokhrel,
And my name is Cameron Cummings.
and welcome back to the PB Political Podcast. Today, we have no guest, unlike what we said last week, but some things came up. So we're just gonna do a little bit of a run through about what's been happening in the world and the United States over the past week or so, and we're gonna start with President Biden's the new news that President Biden has been, I guess, President Biden's office has been holding classified documents since his time as vice president, and this just came to light about a week ago now. I think the New York Times, I think the New York Times broke it first, but anyways, there's obviously no one knows what's in the documents, but President Biden had classified documents in his house in Delaware, also in offices and in other houses around the country. So those have been uncovered, and I guess the big thing about this, I'll let you have your thoughts for this, but the big thing is these were discovered on November 2nd, and November 2nd was before the midterms, but the announcement came a week ago, so it was covered up, I guess, through the midterms, which is interesting. And obviously the midterms went pretty well for Democrats. It's just an interesting point. And Cam, do you have any thoughts about just what happened? I don't even know what's happening anymore. This is kind of wild.
I really don't know. I mean, I know they're classified documents, yes, but it's really what is in the documents. Nobody knows. We could know tomorrow. We could know 2 months from now. We're really on their timeline. We don't really have anything that we can do to push them to release anything sooner or later than they want to. The timing that it was released is kind of strange, but also they were discovered on November 2nd and they were released a week ago. So what, December 12th, December 10th? So over a month since they were discovered.
November 2nd. So 2 months.
So over a month.
Yeah.
So over a month from when, on November 2nd, when they were found, to the date that the New York Times broke it and it became public knowledge. And I know this is the third or fourth instance that there have been documents found at President Biden's home offices have been obviously revealed to the public. So who knows how many that haven't been revealed or just haven't been found yet.
Yeah, so I think that's more they found one batch and they've kept finding more. So I heard that one of I think it was the Wall Street Journal, or it might have been on Punchbowl, but somebody was saying they were reporting that some of the documents, obviously we don't know the specifics, but some of them related to foreign nations, so Ukraine, Iran, United Kingdom, and this is pretty concerning. I don't know about concerning, but this is interesting and noteworthy because one, President Biden was a big player in the Obama administration's approach to Ukraine when he was vice president. He was very active with the European country because, of course, in 2014 they had the Crimean War with Russia, and now again, obviously they're in war. But also the family dynamic between the Biden family and Ukraine. That's been a big issue over the last year and a half with Hunter Biden, President Biden's son, and his laptop. I don't know the specifics, so I'm not going to get into that too much, but I think that's another reason that these documents they're not getting too much media attention, but I feel like if any revelations come out, then they might be concerning for the president and for the Democrats as they try to gear up towards, another election cycle.
And I don't know. I know the Justice Department thought about getting involved, but they declined, as well as the FBI, and that could be for multiple reasons, but probably because I guess the most logical reason would be President Trump is already being investigated by the FBI for his possession of classified documents. So putting 2 presidents, past and present, under investigation probably spread their forces too thin, and it would probably just be a lot of work overload since they've been working for a while, quite some time, on the investigation with President Trump and his possession of classified documents. And also, I'm pretty sure Biden's lawyers were tasked with searching the homes and notifying the FBI. if anything, also came to light as well.
Yeah, so like the Justice Department was like, we'll hold off on this, but they had the lawyers just they're having the lawyers basically do the dirty work as it is. I wonder how this would change. So this is actually like something I was thinking about. If the Senate was controlled, if Republicans had a better midterm year and they had the House and the Senate, I wonder if we could be seeing, now that this is out, I wonder if we could be seeing like a little bit of a push for possible impeachment like President Trump had. And ironically, President Trump's first impeachment was also with Ukraine, involved with Ukraine. And this could also, so I wonder if that was something, or that is something that Republicans are considering. I mean, I'm sure in the Senate they won't be able to bring anything to fruit, but in the House, maybe, now that this is coming out, if this gets worse, do you think that an impeachment trial could be coming? Of course, they probably have better things to do, but,
Do I think it's possible? Yes. Do I think it's likely? No. We saw how lengthy an impeachment process was with President Trump, and how many, God knows how many investigations he's under, and how long that's taken. Do I think this is cause for alarm for people, for the Democrats and Republicans? Maybe. Do I think it's grounds for impeachment? No. Depending on what those documents are and how serious they are, possibly. But from what the little information we have now, I don't think these are grounds for a large-scale impeachment of the president.
No, it'd also be ironic if he got impeached. Like literally, like it'd just be funny, I guess, because not funny, but
it'd be
interesting. Just like Republicans get interesting. Yeah, it really highlight partisanship in the 21st century. That's for sure. But yeah, President Trump or President Biden in a little bit of hot water with having classified documents around his residence. If this evolves even more, I'm sure we're gonna be covering it for the next couple of weeks and months, so stay tuned for that. Next up, let's talk a little bit more domestic news. The House of Representatives, the leadership committees, like the committees are being assigned, and we try to do a quick rundown about like the biggest names, where they're at, people that we're familiar with that we've talked to, where they're at. And yeah, just a little bit of a rundown of how the House is working now that their speaker vote is over. Check out the last episode for more info on that. And yeah, Cam, can you just take us through the top line,
sure.
The Armed Services Committee?
So right now, and some of the notable positions would be Representative Mike Rogers, who's a Republican of Alabama District 3, is the chairman of the House Armed Services Committee. Representative Dale Strong, who's also a Republican of Alabama House Number 5, is also a member of the House Armed Forces Committee.
Yeah.
And Mr. Strong said he is thankful for the nomination and that he, quote, looks forward to continuing to showcase Alabama's innovation and ingenuity through my role.
And shout out to Congressman Strong real quick for getting us the press release for that, because we were on his media list. So thank you to Congressman Strong, who we had on the podcast too, back when he was running for Congress. So,
and we hope to have him again soon.
Yeah,
Mr. Strong, please come back on the podcast. It was amazing to have you on.
Yeah, that'll be good. It'll be good to see you.
Yeah, back to the list, we have Representative Jim Jordan, who is a Republican of Ohio, District Number 4, and he is the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. And Representative Roger Williams, who's a Republican of Texas, District 25, is the chairman of the House Small Business Committee. And then Representative George Santos is a Republican of New York District 10, is a member of the House, is also a member of the House Small Business Committee. And Representative Margie Taylor Greene is a representative of Georgia District Number 14, is a member of the House Homeland Security Committee. And Representative Lauren Boebert is a Republican of Colorado District 3, is a member of the House Oversight and Accountability Committee.
Okay, so let's go through this a little bit. First thing, apologies to George Santos, Congressman Santos, if that's his real name, because he's New York's 3rd. I put 10th on accident. Also, let's talk about George. You know that George Santos...
Are you giving me false information here?
Yeah, that's my bad. Whoops. But George Santos is the candidate for false information. Have you heard about what's happening with him? Do you know?
Yes, he lied. Did he lie about...
He's lied about everything. It's insane.
Everything.
It's like...
I'm pretty sure it's where he went to school, the fact that he was gay.
I think he is. I think he's I don't want to misstate that. I think okay. So
I don't want to misstate that.
Let's go.
Like I don't have the list in front of me at all.
Yeah, let's go through. Let's go through.
He lied about a lot of the things that people were like proud of him for and like pushing for. They're like, wow, he's that guy for this. You know what? We'll pull it up.
It's insane. So George Santos, for those who are the uninitiated, basically, George Santos is a congressman from New York's 3rd Republican. He ran in 2020 and lost to a Democrat, and I think the district was redistricted and became more favorable for Republicans, and that's why he's in Congress now. So he's probably the most fascinating member of Congress. He lied about where he went to high school and college.
Mm-hmm.
He lied about like working on Wall Street for like Goldman Sachs and stuff, so like having like that like corporate experience, which he did kind of campaign on. And during the primary, he was like bankrolled, and like no one knows how, because like obviously he wasn't working at Goldman or like it's crazy. Like he was, I don't know. Yeah, you can keep going.
More and more information is coming about it like every day. It's no one knows who or where he got the money from, because he obviously didn't have it.
Yeah, it's wild.
And what else is he lying about that just has not come to light yet?
Yeah, Congress. So like others, so like New York Republicans, like New Staten Island, New York, where like he's from Staten Island. So like the areas Republicans are calling him to resign. I don't know if McCarthy's gonna look for an ethics committee like investigation, but I'm sure there's gonna be an ethics investigation, because if there is not an ethics investigation for Congressman Santos, then like I don't know what the point of the ethics committee is. So okay, let's keep going with the lies. There's so much going on. This Intelligencer article has a lot of the lies. It's called Every Lie. Here's every single lie told by George Santos. So high school, college. Yeah, high school, college, Wall Street. No one knows where his money's from. No one knows if the money's legit. It could be like I don't know, like illegal, like dirty money, I guess. He lied about founding an animal charity. He lied. He stole money from like a disabled veteran. This is such a weird article. You're seeing this too, right? Who came to him before?
Yeah. I know he admitted to. I remember this. He admitted to lying about his college and work history, but I don't think he's admitted publicly to lying about anything else.
He had the one. He said he was
admitted publicly about lying about his college, high school, and work history.
And he said he was Jewish, and then he had to click. He went to on the in Washington Post interview, where he said that this is the same interview where he lied about, or he admitted he was lying about education. He said, I'm quoting, "I never claimed to be Jewish. I'm Catholic, because I learned my maternal family had a Jewish background. I said I was quote unquote Jewish, so Jew-ish. So I don't know." And there's also more. Like, I mean, apparently no one. I heard on this, a staffer on Capitol Hill told me that no one's working for, like, he doesn't really have an office presence on Capitol Hill. I don't know if that's still true. This was a couple weeks ago. They're saying that his office is like empty. He's facing a lot of investigation. He said he'd resign if all of his voters wanted him to resign. I don't know what's going on. It doesn't seem like he's going to resign.
No, I don't think so.
But he's on the small business. That's why I wanted to include him, because he's a freshman, but like he's on the House Small Business Committee, so that's fun. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about George Santos for a little bit. Absolute, just like a fascinating character for sure, to say the least. What else? Oh yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Most people know who she is. She's pretty outspoken. Take that as you will from Georgia's 14th. She was big.
It's an understatement, if you ask me.
Yeah, I don't know how to quantify how she's spoken, but she's a member of the House Homeland Security Committee. This is big for her because she really wanted Homeland, and she was one of the. She did support Kevin McCarthy the whole way through the speaker vote, I believe, but she was also pretty big trying to get other out-fringe Republicans with. What are you doing?
I'm focusing.
All right.
Locked in.
She was pretty instrumental trying to get other like fringe Republicans to flip to McCarthy, but she was given a spot on the House Homeland Security Committee, which is big because the House Homeland Security Committee is going to be looking to impeach Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas. I'm not really sure. This is like a new thing. It's come out of nowhere, actually. They've been talking about it, like some Republicans have been talking about it on the campaign trail, but I don't think it was I didn't really know about it until recently. I didn't know about it until Representative Pat Fallon from Texas 4th. He actually filed the articles of impeachment against Secretary Mayorkas last week. So I don't know what's going on there. He's been criticized for the border. And, the border was a really big part of literally every Republican's message, regardless of where you were in the country. The border and, especially, they related to fentanyl. But I'm sure there's also some Republicans wanted limited immigration. It is what it is. The border was one of the issues for the GOP in the campaign season. So apparently there's going to be an impeachment process. Have you ever heard of a cabinet member being impeached? I'm sure it's happened, but I've never.
I'm sure it's happened, but it's nothing been mainstream in public, not like this.
Yeah, and I guess this is fairly political. I don't know a Homeland Security officer that was, or secretary that's been it's the newest cabinet position. I don't know any cabinet. Okay, let me look. There have been impeached, so obviously the House has the power for impeachment, so they can they're able to impeach. But I don't see a cabinet member being. What do you think about that? Let's just talk. What do you think about trying to impeach a secretary of any cabinet member?
I don't know. I haven't heard anything majorly against him for a reason that he's being impeached. There could be something that I'm just not aware of, but as of now, I don't see a major reason that he needs to be impeached.
Yeah, I guess
if stuff comes out against him that is obviously negative, then yes, I see a reason for impeachment. But right now, no.
Yeah, I see this fairly political too. Because it's a pretty bad. I think it's just a bad look if you're gonna be a member of the House of Representatives, you've been elected, and your first move to improve the border is to impeach the guy running the show instead of trying to work with him. I know some senators were looking, because I went to a couple senators went to this, including our new senator Katie Britt. They all went to the border as a bipartisan group, and just to see what was happening. And I think some of them, there's talks about maybe a bipartisan immigration reform type thing, but not in the House. The House is going crazy. They're going to impeach. I feel like there's 5 or 10 different avenues you can take before actually impeaching the person. I agree with you. I don't see anything too egregious with Secretary Mayorkas. He hasn't been doing a great job, but who has done a great job? The border is just always a mess. So
there's nothing that I've seen that's just so egregious that I'm he needs to get out of here, and this is a smart first move to be doing.
I agree. And also Congressman Tony Gonzalez, he's from a border county. I believe his district covers a little bit of San Antonio, stretches around the border of Texas and Mexico. He's a pretty big member of the Homeland Security Committee. He's one of the more, I'd say, more bipartisan or more moderate Republicans, but also one of the more respected Republicans, not in leadership. He said that he's not committed one way or another. He said he's going to see where the hearings take them. Maybe we'll see if his line of reasoning prevails, but I see this as a little bit of a witch hunt too. But the House is looking spicy this time, as it seemed to promise with the speaker vote. So a lot of stuff's happening in the House right now. Crazy. Let's move on to our last topic for the week. We're gonna do, because we never did an episode. We took a break before the new year, and we never covered the Brazil, the riots in Brazil that just kind of happened and everyone sort of forgot about. I don't know what was going on.
It came and went really quickly.
Yeah, so for a little bit of context, Brazil's presidential election was in the fall, and it put Jair Bolsonaro, who was the current president, or the ex-president now, against Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, who used to be the president, got thrown in jail on corruption charges, got out of jail, got acquitted, and then ran for president again and won. And he's seen as a more progressive leader, one of the more progressive leaders in South America. And they went to a second ballot. It was very heated, close election victory for Lula. And then the question came about what's going to happen when the transition of power has to come. And Jair Bolsonaro is a little bit of a Trump-like figure, people call him, because he has the same like brash personality, very more laissez-faire, like a little bit more free market type person. You know, a little bit more like on the Trump side of if you have to So
if you had to give a name for it, that's what it would be.
A lot going on. So he did, unlike President Trump, he did actually I conceded, he did all that. And but then he like started like doing a little bit of, because during the presidential election he was always like casting doubt on if he loses, this is not real, this is rigged, whatever, you know, stuff like that. But then he did end up congratulating Lula and said he'd agree to a peaceful transfer of power. And then it got off the rails. So I guess after the ceremony, after the transition of power, Brazil had their own January 6th. It was on January 8th though. So they had the January 8th. And a lot of people, a lot of people ended up just like storming Brasilia, which is the capital, in the parliament buildings, through the Congress, Supreme Court, you know, desecrated the furniture, artwork, all that stuff.
Stole a lot.
Yeah. And also, so they were doing this. Bolsonaro went to the United States. Apparently he was in the hospital during, like, this is before, but like around that time frame, this is like a week before the actual attack. He wasn't at the attack or anything, but he was at the hospital in Orlando, and it was due to intestinal pains that they've said intestinal pains because he was stabbed in 2018 during the election, but it wasn't serious, so he's fine. I don't know what's going on, honestly. He wasn't involved with the rioters, and I think it's fair to say he's less involved than President Trump was with January 6th. I mean, I don't know if I think that's fair to say, but
yeah.
It's definitely concerning, I'd say, when you lose an election and then half the country thinks that they believe it was like not real. So I mean, like, I don't know if you have any thoughts on how this is just kind of becoming a trend, like just like regardless who loses, no one's accepting results anymore.
The opposing side gets upset. Yes.
Yeah. What do you have? Any thoughts about like just like how this like all that's like that kind of just like simmers down?
Yes, I don't know. It's just the mentality has changed. Obviously, here in America as well as there, this is the second time that I've heard of people getting upset at the outcome of an election. Saying that that's not the actual outcome, and it was altered in some way to benefit the opposing person instead of their candidate that they chose. I've seen it as an issue, but I don't know. We're going to see if this is a trend that continues or just a few one-off instances of unruly people.
Yeah, I think
individuals.
Yeah, I think this also kind of scares people because like Brazil's an established democracy at this point. Mm-hmm. The United States, obviously, the foundational representative republic. It's just like it's a little bit of a shake-up to people's systems, I believe. So I don't know. I don't know how. I think it'll end up being fine, but yeah, I agree. I think this is a little bit of a rough patch for the world. I don't know. It wasn't. Thankfully, I don't know if anybody died. I haven't really looked into this, honestly. We were very unprepared for this episode. But I don't think anybody died. I could be wrong. But regardless, not great, not good. Lula is in power now, so like there wasn't like an issue with not giving over power. This just seems like to be like a supporters. And there are calls for like Bolsonaro to be extradited to Brazil to face charges. I think they're saying the judge of Supreme Court, Brazil's court, is trying to but like they want Bolsonaro in. He's under investigation now by the Supreme Court of Brazil. So this could have bad implications for him if he ever wants to return to presidency. But also, hey, Lula was in prison for like 4 years, and he came back and won the presidency too. So who knows in Brazil, honestly. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a lot. There's a lot going on. And also, we're extremely prepared.
Yeah, we just...
have to be more prepared. Hopefully, have a guest.
Yeah, well...
Some guest.
Yeah, that's all the content. We just wanted to get something out, a little bit more of a domestic-based episode with the President Biden stuff, which will continue to develop, and then the House committee stuff, because that's going to be interesting for the next 2 years, and then Brazil, whatever we just did for Brazil. So, yeah, we're definitely going to be more prepared next time. Hopefully we'll have a special guest in the next weeks. Trying to get more guests. If you know a guest, or if you know someone who would be interesting on the podcast, send us an email, booking@pppolitical.com. We'll be more than happy to respond and maybe work towards getting that done. I have nothing else to say. pppolitical.com, pppolitical.al, all that. Cameron, you have anything to say?
Please look out for the next podcast episode. Also, make sure to follow PP Political Instagram. We be dropping main posts like every other day.
It's true.
Each one's hustling on Instagram to make sure it's epic. So we would love if you follow. Wait a minute. We're gonna give you a live check of this current moment. Give me 1 second.
We have
a live check of the follower count. We're doing political.
We've done pretty good in the last couple weeks.
We have. We've been doing pretty good. We're at 613 followers. I want to get to 750 by my birthday, which is February 21st. So that is 1 month from now.
Y'all heard him. 750 in a month. So with that, thanks for listening to this. I'm Eshan Pokhrel.
My name is Cummings.
And goodbye.